Hello there, welcome to Al-Haqq Apologetics and Polemics. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so and also click the notification bell to get notified of our contents. Today we'll be looking at two important surahs of the Quran and look at the background stories and also see how we can help our Muslim brothers and sisters to have a proper understanding of their book. The first one I'm going to look at is Surah 46, Ayah 9, Surah 46, Ayah 9. I'm going to read from the Sahih International. It says, "Say, I am not something original among the messengers, nor do I know what will be done with me or with you. I only follow that which is revealed to me, and I am but a clear warner." So this is the Prophet Muhammad reciting the Quran as he received from Allah. But here is where the challenge is. If you go to the preceding verses of this surah, you will discover that there was an accusation against the Prophet Muhammad that the Quran was false. People at that time suspected Muhammad to have fabricated the words of the Quran. So they said that he brought something new, he brought something that is fake, he's copying, he brought so many, there was this, wind of accusation all around him. And for the Prophet to defend himself, he said he received a revelation from Allah and he recited this surah and said that he is not a bringer of a newfangled doctrine amongst the Prophet, but he does not know what will be done with him or with the Muslims. He is only a warner, simple and clear. He had to defend himself. So here is where I have a challenge. In the court of law, if somebody is accused, that person may not stand witness for himself, in the sense that his witness will not be considered as authentic, like if he has external witnesses. But in the case of the Prophet Muhammad here, he is accused of falsehood, he is accused of fabrication, he is accused of unoriginality, and he is still the same person that has been accused of forging the Quran is the same person receiving another surah of the Quran that he is being accused of, to clear his name, that he is not bringing anything new, that Allah is actually saying he is genuine. Allah is actually saying that he is just a warner, simple and clear. He doesn't know what will be done with him. So Allah is actually testifying through him again for the people accusing him. I mean, does it really make sense? Well, to also give us another clarity of this other instance that played out in the Quran, if you see in Surah 33, that is Surah Al-Ahzab, Surah 33, Ayah 53. Surah 33, Ayah 53, something happened here. And it says, "O you who have believed, do not enter the homes of the Prophet except when you are permitted for a meal, without waiting for its readiness. But when you are invited, then enter. And when you have eaten, disperse, without seeking to remain for conversation. Indeed, that behavior was troubling the Prophet, and he is shy of dismissing you. But Allah is not shy of the truth. And when you ask his wives for something, ask them from behind a partition. That is purer for your heart and their heart." Now, let me give you a background of this Surah Al-Ahzab. In this Surah, the Prophet here, the background is that the Prophet, 7 people comes to the Prophet's house. They come to eat or they come to see the Prophet, and then they sit down for too long. They start conversing, interacting with one another without going. So the Prophet is troubled. He doesn't know how to tell them that he doesn't want them to stay in his house for this long. He doesn't know how to tell them. And several of them would ask the Prophet's wives for water. They asked them for time. They asked them for certain things. And the Prophet wasn't comfortable about that people were talking to his wives. So he needed a way to put a check on that. And then the revelation came, according to him, that a revelation came from Allah, and that is the Surah Al-Ahzab, Ayah 53. And the Surah is saying that the Prophet is a shy person. He doesn't know how to tell the people that he is angry, he's troubled, he's not okay with what you guys are doing. Like, you are coming to my house, you eat, and then you decide to stay there you stay and converse, and you don't give me my privacy and all that. I need my privacy, man. So the surah came to him to tell the people. And now this is what he said. He said, the Prophet is a shy person. He doesn't know how to tell you guys. So Allah isn't shy. So Allah is telling me to tell you that whenever you come to my house, you don't have to talk to my wives, except you speak to my wives through a veil or through a partition, and when I've given you food, please don't stay too long, eat your food and get out because I need my privacy. So here is the thing, I'm made to wonder, why is it that every now and then the Allah always comes to defend the prophet? You know, when people challenge the prophet to give a proof of his prophethood, to give a proof of the authenticity of the Quran, Allah will always speak through him again, and then try to defend him, try to defend the Quran, or try to defend the things he has done. There are so many surahs of the Quran that Allah will always come to defend the prophet without any external defense, without any external witness, without any external testimony of people, or through miracles. Okay, let me show us an example in the Bible. For instance, in the case of Moses and the sons of Korah, who attacked Moses and said all manner of things. God didn't need to use Moses to defend himself. He actually opened the earth and consumed them with their family, and they were all gone. And again, Miriam and Aaron confronted Moses and said to Moses, you know, you are not the only one who hears from God. We can also hear from God. And immediately Miriam was struck with leprosy. That was God bearing witness to the prophethood of Moses. He didn't have to give Moses a revelation to defend himself. And then you can see in the case of Elisha was just walking past and people made mockery of him, and then wild animals came out and consumed them. And also in another case, Elisha gave a prophecy and somebody made mockery of it and said, even if God was to make windows out of heaven, how will this happen? Elisha said, yes, it will happen, but you will not eat. And on that same day that it happened, the man was trampled and he was dead and gone. Even in the case of Gehazi, we can see that Gehazi also became greedy and took some money from somebody he wasn't supposed to take. And God didn't need to just speak through Elisha. Elisha just said something, and Gehazi was leprous, and all the sickness of the man followed Gehazi. Okay, how about Elijah? When some soldiers were sent to arrest Elijah, Elijah said, if I be a man of God, let fire come down from heaven. And so it was twice that these men were consumed, and several other instances. Now let's come to the case of Jesus. Jesus himself never defended himself. Jesus said, if I bear witness on myself, then my testimony is false. I have my works, and all of you are my testimony, and my God, my Father bears a greater testimony. The miracles I do, they bear testimony. So if you look at John chapter 5 from verse 31, you see Jesus talking about this matter, that I don't have to bear witness of myself. I don't have to testify of who I am. The works I do. The disciples of John the Baptist came to Jesus and said, are you the prophet? Are you the Messiah? What should we go and tell to John? And Jesus said, well, hey, go and tell John that the blind see. Tell him what you have seen. The lame walk, the deaf hear, the dead also rise. So, but in the case of Muhammad, it wasn't so. Muhammad is always defending himself using a surah. And because these people wouldn't have the time to question if there is the word of God, and that's still the same challenge that Muslims have today, that they swallow every word of the Quran, hook, line, and sinker, without asking questions. But the question here is, why is it that every time Allah has to defend the Prophet Muhammad through the Prophet himself, without any external testimony, without people, coming to show the proofs of his prophethood? Whenever he is asked to give a proof of his prophethood, he is always the one receiving a surah. One man in the Middle East, in Arabia, one man, he is the only person hearing from God. He is the only person telling a whole nation what God is saying. I mean, that is something to be worried about. So I give our Muslim brothers and sisters this opportunity to go back and reflect on this. Wouldn't it be nice to have external witnesses? Wouldn't it be nice for God to testify about the prophet of Muhammad using miraculous signs and wonders? Of course, I know there are certain answers that will come. If you have these answers, please drop it in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also share messages to reach a wider audience. Thank you. See you in the next video.